Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I am one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is the mayor of the Deepstone Crypt, Mr. Josh Finney.
Hi.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, Corey.
I'm feeling real good tonight, Josh.
I am too.
I'm feeling good. You know why, Josh?
Why is that?
You know why? Because we're recording fucking Tower Casuals.
Thursday is one of the days I look most forward to.
It is the one night that I'm like, man, the only game I truly play anymore, we get to discuss. You know, I've been dabbling. I finished Cyberpunk. I've been dabbling in some Cyber Shadow. Started Final Fantasy VII. Destiny, man. Destiny.
Destiny is just, it's where it's at.
It is. It's
been a slow season, but we're getting ready. We're coming up on the 9th. It's gonna be the start of our next season. We actually get the trailer on Tuesday. They announced today.
It's very exciting. Very exciting.
Very excited. The theories right now are saying that this is going to be the season where we deal with Callus's daughter, with Cayde, and give me 1 second. I believe I had the name of the season pulled up. It leaked quite a while back. I remember us saying it, but I can't remember off the top of my head. It is Season of the Chosen.
Season of the Chosen. Is that official? It's redacted though, still, right? Technically,
it's redacted, but the data miner who posted it has literally never been wrong.
Yeah.
He's been posting stuff for like 4 years. He's simply never been wrong. So I'm feeling pretty good about this one.
Yeah. What do you think that means? The Chosen. It's got to be about Crow though, right? It's got to be about him.
I think that's what a lot of our seasonal stories are going to deal with, because last year they did run in a line. It just took us a while to kind of get there and see how they were running in a line.
Right.
It felt like kind of like Undying and Dawn were almost separate from Worthy and Arrivals in a weird way. Especially with like the Fractaline grind and everything else. Like I think Trials was supposed to tie everything together and it really didn't. The joke that I've seen is, Season of the Chosen. That's just another way of saying Season of the Worthy. And I'm like, oh God, please no. Because it's in the exact same time frame that one was.
It's always the spring season, dude. It's always the spring season. Always. Never fails. Never fails.
I am very curious to see what the release system is going to be for the seasons and the expansion this year, though, because we're so off of the normal schedule right now.
Right.
That right now this season is going to take us all the way up through the first week of May, basically up to Resident Evil Village's release date. Then beyond that,
there's going to be any sexy vampire ladies in Destiny's next season? Huh?
God, I hope so. I hope so.
They took Crimson Days away, so
yeah, we'll talk about why that needed to die, because I actually want to talk about seasonal events when we get to that. But just you're sitting here wondering about the seasons. You're like, okay, so if this isn't ending until May, we traditionally get the reveal of the fall expansion in June, and the summer season starts that day. So are we gonna have a season that's only 4 weeks long, or are you guys gonna cut a season out, make the ones in the summer both shorter? Like, I know there's already some theories going around, like, oh, well, you've already said this is only going to be 10, like the challenges are only for 10 weeks. Like, is that tying into that? Is that a hint? Because from that early May to mid-September, that would be about a 20-week span. Like, is that tying into? And I'm like, God, I don't know. I feel like if you didn't make this release season shorter, you're not going to make any of these shorter.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be November from here on out, and Bungie has shown like the game can still succeed alongside Call of Duty, even when they come out in the same week. Your biggest concern is Halo.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you release Destiny against Halo? But at that point, I feel like Halo would be the one that would be worried about that.
I don't think so. If anything, I could see Bungie going, okay, we're going to, especially, again, this ties into the whole seasonal talk. I could see them saying, fuck it, we're going to release like mid-October. to get out of the way of Call of Duty and Halo, because at this point, in my opinion, there's almost no way you don't put Halo out at the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, you have to.
That makes no sense to me to not do that. I can't see them pulling a Halo 3 and releasing mid-September. I feel like that slot is for something else that they're working on. But it does leave an interesting question for Bungie. Like, okay, so assume Microsoft doesn't have anything for October outside of, like, maybe Starfield. Like, cool, they have this still on Game Pass. Like, if they renew the deal for Witch Queen, then okay, everybody will get access to it. That's awesome. It's hard to see that that's not renewed for Witch Queen, considering all this hasn't come to PC yet.
Yeah.
And we know that was promised for the first half of this year. Yeah. But, we keep referencing them. Well, I guess we should just go ahead and get into the TWAB, because most of the things we just talked about are going to be addressed in this too.
Yeah. Let's get into the TWAB.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I wanted to address some things, but we can do it at the end of the show.
No. Go ahead and address.
I was going to say, like, if you're watching this live, clearly we're not on the Boss Rush Games live. We're on my personal channel because there's some personal things that I kind of want to do, and this is kind of like mine and Josh's thing. And so, like, we kind of just, we're going to start streaming it on my personal channel. There's a new look. I'm very happy with the new look. And like, I just wanted everybody to know that, like, Tower Casuals isn't going away. If you usually watch it on Boss Rush Games Live, you can come over to my personal channel and watch it. That's just one little side note. I'm kind of exploring new things, and so is Josh, and I'm very excited for both of us. But, Tower Casual's still going to be here. It's just going to be in a different place. Same time, same night. New home.
Same great show. Same show you guys like.
Same good-looking hosts.
That's right.
Yes.
The Sandwich Casuals ride again.
Yeah. Dude, did you see the pictures that Earl of Sandwich has been posting all week, by the way, on Twitter?
I did. I'm very upset that I can't go get an Earl right now.
I know, man.
We talked about it on Arsenal X, but, like, I was telling my girlfriend about it afterwards, and when I told her, I was like, my dream meal to go have, she, like, instantly knew that I was going to say that I wanted to go to Disney, and I wanted to get an Earl sandwich, and I wanted to go to Sleepy Hollows. And I'm just like, God, I love you. You get me. You get me so much. The only thing she didn't guess out of everything I said was what drink I was going to get at the cantina. Well, because she was like, well, I thought you would try something new. So that was it. I was like, no, I gotta go with something I've had there, so I know I'm getting quality.
You try something new the second time you go there during a trip.
Oh, this is the second time I've gone.
No, right. I mean like
on the trip.
During the trip, like the first day you get there, you're like, I gotta get the regular, I gotta get the normal. Second time you go, you experiment, right?
Like, I mean, and like with the drink, it's like, man, I feel like you can't go wrong with anything at Oga's. And I'm just like, I mean, come on, like, I'm a functioning alcoholic at times. Like, I can go for more than one overly priced beverage listening to the Cantina band music. So
that's fair. But that's kind of it. You can follow me or us on Twitter to see new things that are happening. Just wanted to address that because I'm sure somebody's looking for this on Boss Rush Games Live and it's not there. So anyways, Josh, let's get into this TWAB. It's a big TWAB. It's a meaty TWAB. It's an exciting TWAB. It's an exciting TWAB. Let me tell you, if you are into Bright Dust, this next season is for you.
God, dude, I'm so excited. I have recently given myself a challenge, and I was actually it's ironic because I was actually going to bring this up this week to see if I can get to 100,000 Bright Dust stored up in my bank by the time the Witch Queen comes out. This next season virtually guarantees I'm going to get there during the next season. Or at least come extremely close. Because let me tell you something here. Seasonal challenges. So we're going to talk seasonal challenges before we get into the Bright Dust. They've been trying to reduce FOMO. We know that. We've heard that from Damage, from Cosmo, from Luke Smith, Mark Noseworthy, Joe Blackburn. Basically, anybody who speaks on authority of Bungie has tried to address FOMO at some point over the last year and a half or so. The feeling really kind of started setting in with Shadowkeep with the changes that came to it, and it only got worse and worse with the old seasonal model. This season, I feel, has been great You don't have nearly as much FOMO, but there was always that existential dread of, if I want to get the most Bright Dust, I either have to play every single week to do these weeklies that I don't even want to do, or I can skip a week, but I got to log in right before reset, grab those, hope there's no maintenance, grab them, and then hope that they're not repeated again. And they only give half the rewards now this season, which honestly has been a bummer for all of us. Like, this is the least weeklies I've done in probably 2 years. In all frankness, like, I still do the Crucible ones just because I can get in and bang that out like 2-3 matches. One if it's Mayhem, just get in and wreck shop. Like, that's the only time I'll ever load up on alternate characters, frankly, is to go run Bright Dust bounties. But so on this one, they're talking about bounties and Bright Dust, which are the last two really big remaining ones. They said they created a few goals during the production of Beyond Light, for like such as like, what is a season? How do I engage with it when I log in, et cetera, et cetera. Provide a guide to new, returning, and veteran players for what to do today or this week. Guide the player through the season week after week. Encourage players to engage with complexities and nuances of the seasonal activity and rituals, and reduce the penalties on XP and Bright Dust for missing a given week. Basically, the only way you were going to hit max level right away was if you grinded a shitload of repeatable bounties. And I don't think I need to say to anybody how obnoxious that can be. Just grinding Crucible over and over and over again, running strikes over and over and over.
Because Crucible's the one you want to be repeating right now.
Right, Crucible's about the only one you can repeat, and even then, like, you want to be doing that with friends. You don't want to do that solo.
Right.
It's okay, but I feel like this season especially has just been with the addition of Stasis, it has gotten real rough if you're playing solo in the Crucible, I think. But I like what they address here. So they said to address these goals, we are addressing a new pursuit type for players: seasonal challenges. Seasonal challenges live on their own page and are accessed to the quest log or season pass and are separated by week. So we're going to read their entire breakdown. We're going to read the breakdown and some examples of what a challenge could be. And then we're going to discuss this before we move on to rewards. Every week for the first 10 weeks of a season, between 3 and 10 new challenges will appear automatically for players. Some of the challenges will deal with seasonal content, while others will push players to complete Strikes, Gambit, Crucible, or reflect on non-activity focused Destiny rituals like gaining power, unlocking artifact mods, or improving guns and armor. Challenges can only be completed once per account, but once they become available, these challenges can be completed at any time before the end of the season and do not need to be started or picked up from a vendor. For example, if a player does not play for weeks 2 through 4, they can return on week 5 and have all those challenges waiting for them. Completing challenge awards XP contributing to your season pass. Other rewards include Bright Dust, seasonal currency, or other interesting items.
Ooh.
Which we're going to circle back to that comment in just a second. This does mean weekly bounties are gone. No more complete matches in the Crucible and extra progress for using your super or void weapons or bullshit like that. No more kill 150 Vex and kill 3 bosses in Strikes.
Thank God.
We all hate it.
Thank God.
150 Vex. I saw the perfect tweet, and it says just the sexual tension between you and the other Guardian when you're both trying to kill the Vex in Warden of Nothing for the fucking bounty. And it's so true because there's no reliable Vex strike anymore.
No.
Like, and that's one example. It used to be the Fallen. Like, that was our complaint all through Shadowkeep was, oh my God, there's not a Fallen
the only
strike.
one I could think of is the
Exodus down.
Oh,
fucking Exodus down is the worst. It's still bad. 3 years later, it's 4 years later.
Yeah.
Still terrible. It's awful.
I mean, the only other one I can think of that's like reasonable, has a reasonable amount of Vex, and it's not even a Vex strike, it's a Cabal strike, is the Inverted Spire strike.
And even then you have to get the right roll on it.
Yeah.
There's different versions of it.
Yeah.
Dude. Honestly, it's irresponsible. Like, other than Might of the Traveler and Gambit, which was disabled completely by last week's patch.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my God, finally it's gone. Now they're all about to be gone. So I'm thrilled for this.
Yeah.
But some of the examples they give us here, they say, we have taken more leeway with creating some interesting or more difficult challenges. These may be things you are already doing or things that test your ability. Some examples include defeating primeval envoys in Gambit, defeating enemies in the ordeal with seasonal weapons, gaining infamy or valor ranks, acquire the ritual weapon and cosmetic ornaments, winning rounds in Trials of Osiris, and completing a Grandmaster Nightfall. Not all challenges will require that level of accomplishment, but the harder or longer the challenge is, the more experience it rewards. Challenges that focus on the seasonal activity and ritual mostly need the season pass to complete, but most of the ritual-focused challenges can be completed without the season pass. Roughly 60% of the challenges do not require you to own the season pass, which is good. There's still a route for you if you don't want to buy the pass for a given season. You can still earn your Bright Dust. We've already talked about disabling the weekly bounty. Most of the challenges disappear after the season they were introduced, and anything that isn't claimed will be lost. We don't add any new challenges past week 10, which should give everyone a few weeks to clean up anything they didn't finish. Any challenge that rewards unique or seasonal items, currencies, lore books, seasonal weapons, etc., can be completed as long as the seasonal activity is in the game, but XP awarded will only be available during the season it was introduced. Corey, hearing all that, what is your... I've seen some very mixed reactions on this already. What is your general feeling?
I mean, I'm very mixed at a lot of this stuff, you know, like including everything that we've talked about so far. It's just like, I think the seasonal challenges are exciting. I think it's like, okay, for somebody who doesn't play with a big group of people a lot, like, that's exciting that I can just kind of go in there, see what these challenges are. I can complete them, get cool stuff. The weekly bounties is a big, just like, thank God they're gone type thing. I don't know. I kind of like some of these changes. I don't. What are people really having a problem with besides them being just the Destiny community is in general?
They feel that it's more bounties being shoved down our throats. And people, so I want to share a fun story about this. I tweeted out when I first read through this TWAB and I read about the seasonal challenges. I went, "Oh, Bungie, here we go again," is essentially what I said. And Corey, you saw that and we're like, "Oh God, what happened? Oh God." I misread this section probably about 3 or 4 times. And I also subsequently misread the Bright Dust stuff that we're going to talk about. As these challenges would not be available past the week that they were open. And so people on Reddit and on Twitter who did not read, like me, were jumping to conclusions going, "Oh my God, they said they're getting rid of FOMO, but there's even more of it now." And let me tell you something, that is just simply not accurate. If you want to take off most of a season, you are totally entitled to do that. You can take off
that's why they're leaving it all in for the whole year.
Right. But I mean, like, the cosmetics and stuff, like, you could bounce for 8-9 weeks out of the season, still come back and do absolutely everything that you want to do.
Yeah.
In fact, I was just checking Reddit to see if the community managers had replied to anything. And they haven't so far. But I am very excited about this. I am one of those who likes chasing certain triumphs anyways, just for something to do when I'm playing the game. Like, once I've finished all the given content, like, that's why I go for the seasonal seals. They're not really hard, but they do require you to actually play a decent amount of stuff in the season. And I don't like to play the same game every single day for like 2 weeks, so that's why I don't grind out the seals that quickly. The Warden one is quite easy to do if you just sit down and do it, but that's the thing, it requires sitting down and doing it. So I like to see things at the beginning to slowly start working towards them throughout the season. Like, complete 10 Wrathborn hunts wearing the seasonal armor. Well, if you have the whole set on, that gives you 10%. And, like, that's the way it should be. Like, okay, cool, so I only got to ultimately do 10 of these. Like, now if just the rewards were better, I'd be willing to do a lot more of these. The problem is, I had grinded out, like, 15 of those things before I realized that was a triumph. So I had to go back and do even more. Or I had done a couple only wearing like 1 or 2 pieces. So you have things like that, but I like that you're going to have not only those, you're going to have the seasonal challenges too. And we talked about this before. We love that they're tying cosmetics to triumphs right now for doing certain things in game. Like, I like this. Like, these are things that, there's going to be hard things. It looks like the Grandmaster Nightfall is probably going to be the hardest thing. Like, by the time that one rolls around, I'm probably going to be done with my season pass.
Right.
Like, by the time that one's active, because Grandmasters don't usually go up until about halfway through the season. Like, I am not in any rush to do a Grandmaster ever.
Yeah.
Ever. I just don't care. Like, there's a reason why I don't do ordeals to begin with. But, like, oh, there's certain things that'll award me Bright Dust for doing it. Hell yeah, I'm gonna jump in and do that. Or like if they give you a ship for doing it that's actually unique and not just a complete reskin, like doing the Master Nightfall was the first
My favorite
season of Shadowkeep.
My favorite thing is when they say you're getting a new exotic ship, and it's literally like it's like the 20th reskin of like the launch ship from Destiny 1.
Yeah,
it's like come on, guys.
Like that. Yeah, like I won't kill myself for that. Like I want to preview this ship before I go do it, or I'll let somebody else do it first, and then I'll decide is it worth it or not. Like, am I going to be that much of a completionist? But like while we're talking rewards, though, they are bumping something else. You alluded to it at the top of the show. We're going to do some math here with Bright Dust.
Oh boy.
Guys, I'm on the climb to 100K, and they just made it so much easier for me to get up there. Like, once I realized what was happening, after I reread this, I was like, oh, I really like this change, actually. I love it, because at first, you see, like, oh my god, the weeklies are going away, and that's the first thing my mind went to was, shit, our only source of Bright Dust now is repeatables and the Season Pass. And granted, the Season Pass is very generous. You get a little over 10,000. Mm-hmm. Through the Season Pass. That's fantastic. If you buy the Season Pass, you get a little over 10K. If you don't buy it, you get like 7,000, I think, which is not horrible. That's enough for the armor from Eververse.
Yeah.
But they said, before Beyond Light launched, we discussed some of the goals around changes to Bright Dust. We wanted to change the way you earn Bright Dust and move more towards account-specific paths. And to give players with only one character significantly more dust than they've been earning over the last year. Thank you. It kind of sucked. Hence why I played so much Destiny last year, was almost like at certain points just logging in to do my weeklies and then logging out. I'd play for 4 or 5 hours straight, do all my weeklies, and then I'd peace out. Since you no longer have to purchase weekly ritual bounties, each of the Strike, Crucible, and Gambit seasonal challenges will award between 75 and 300 Bright Dust. We are also introducing an end-of-season Bright Dust bonus. If you complete nearly all of the seasonal challenges, we are awarding a single 4,000 Bright Dust pile. I'm assuming they are saying this so that if somebody does not want to do the Grandmaster or does not want to do Trials, they will not be forced to. Mm-hmm. That's my interpretation of this. Okay, we'll let you get this, but you can, like, skip 1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
For me, that's going to be skipping a Grandmaster, most likely, unless the ship that they give you is bitchin', in which case I'll kill myself to get it done when it's like Lake of Shadows or something.
Unless it's bitchin'.
Unless it's bitchin'. Each ritual vendor challenge, complete 8 bounties thing that we have now, awards 120 Bright Dust for each character who completes it each week. And since this is prompted by the removal of weekly bounties, only seasonal challenges that will be awarding Bright Dust are the ones that both Season Pass owners and free players can complete. So they're making it to where everybody can still get it. You don't have to own a Season Pass to get this special Bright Dust, right? So the math they give us here, seasonal challenges Bright Dust, all players. Free seasonal activities will equal 6,000 total. That's from the challenges page. The seasonal extra is 4,000. And so your total will be 10K. The Season Pass Bright Dust. The free path gives you 7,500. The paid path gives you an additional 3,000 for 10,500. Now, that is just a little over 20,000. That is if you are not doing your repeatables. That is if you are not doing the weekly vendor challenge, which they break down to you as well. 120 Bright Dust per vendor, per character, per week. 14,000 total if completing all required weekly challenges in the course of Season 13. And we will still offer weekly and repeatable Bright Dust bounties for seasonal events, giving you a bit more Bright Dust towards desired rewards. Corey and I ran some preliminary numbers on this. You're basically going to get, if you don't have a seasonal event, you will get nearly 35K in a season. With a seasonal event, you'll probably come closer to 40. Mm-hmm. That is by far and away the most they've ever done in a season. I don't want to hear any more complaining. I don't want to hear any more complaining about Bright Dust ever. Like, this is how it should be. If you're not going to give it to us for dismantling, which I do think at a certain point that did need to be changed, I actually will go on record as saying I defend that. Simply because, I mean, like, listen, I have my whole stock because I deleted so many things in the lead up to Shadowkeep, but it's still absurd. Like, I don't know. I think it kind of broke the economy. Like, when people would find exploits, or like the people who just played like nonstop, like that's all they had so much. And I don't know. Like, I think this helps it make it feel a bit more balanced. Like, you still have to pick and choose, but it's not as bad for those who don't have a gigantic bank of 60K like me.
Right.
So I really love this. Like, I'm probably only going to do the vendor challenge stuff on one character, but now I don't feel pressured to do strikes or to do Gambit. If I want to take a couple weeks off, I don't have to do them. I'm only missing out on like 120, you know, and what I get for my repeatable. So I'm missing out on like 200 a week from that character. Like, if I were to do this on all three characters or on one character, I could still earn about 4,700 from one character. That's still great. That's ridiculous.
That's insane.
Like, I will do the Crucible. I will probably run the Crucible one on all three characters because that's just so easy. You can get that done in one match. It is legitimately easy to get that done in one match. The Gambit one, you got to actually try at. Strikes, this will get me to go do strikes. I now no longer have to go kill a specific, like, 200 or 150 fucking Vex or
three Cabal bosses in strikes. And it's like,
right. Like, now I'm more likely to wait until I start seeing some of these strike or Gambit challenges pop up and be like, oh, I'm gonna layer the seasonal challenge rewards with me doing the bounties for that, since I don't like doing this activity as much. I'll probably still earn about 3,500 from vendor challenges, like the gunsmith ones. Those are easy to do. Just run around Trostland and do it. That's what all of us do. Just run into a lost sector.
Yeah.
Or go see Varix on Europa.
Oh God. Oh, by the way, speaking of Europa, side tangent. Did you see their tweet?
I did. If you like 7 likes, we'll add a third. I
retweeted it. I retweeted it from Tower Casuals, and I was like, "You guys better fucking like this."
Did you see? So somebody posted it on Reddit, I think, and they had a screenshot of it, and they're like, hey, this should be easy. And the reply says, monkey's paw curls, second transmat zone added next to Varix. Or they're like, here you go, fixed it for you, and it's a map of Europa. And there's one like literally just past the chasm at Sharon's Crossing. It's not up in Eventide where we all want it. And it's like, back when I was a kid, we had to walk to Reese Reborn both ways in the snow. And I was just, oh my God, like, it's so bad. Just they have to be giving us the Deepstone Crypt Transmat Zone.
Right. I mean,
there's nothing else that they're giving us. It's gonna be that because it's already programmed, which is fine. That's perfect. I don't have to load in and drive through multiple zones to get up there. Man. It's just such a God, and like when you have to keep traveling back to Varix and traveling back up there, like this alone may get me to finally go get stasis on another character. I haven't bothered to do it on my Warlock, and I really want to. And this might actually get me to do it now that I can fast travel like half the way to most of the bullshit. I love it. I love it so much. Like that's the kind of QOL I want to see in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, I guess, right? So just let's get that in there. Just let me land somewhere other than Varix and Stranger. Why is there a transmat zone by the Stranger, by the way? There's like, besides the campaign, there's like nothing there except for like
your stasis fragments.
Yeah, but
turning those in, because I'll be honest, if there wasn't one, I'd be bitching about that too.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I probably would be too.
I do think you have. I'm pretty sure they're going to give her more to do later this year. They have to, if they already have that, or we're going to do more with the Ziggurat or something. That was the other joke I saw was Monkey's Paw Curls fast travel added to the Ziggurat. I was just like, oh my god, like this is terrible. Who hurt you, Bungie? Like, give me one inside Reese Reborn at this point, because so much shit takes place in there.
Yeah.
But Corey, our last part of the TWAB. It's our second to last part. It's pretty meaty. It's sandbox changes. We're not going to go through all of this because I simply just don't want to read a whole bunch of numbers. You can go read it for yourself. Nobody likes hearing patch notes or weapon adjustments from me. But we're going to hit
especially if it has to do with auto rifles and scout rifles.
Of course you do, Corey. We're going to address what they say here at the very beginning, though. This is all in preparation for crossplay coming later this year.
Oh my gosh, can't wait.
They changed the recoil stat. This is the main reason why people are upset with this today. Because they went in the exact opposite way that players wanted them to go.
Yeah, this is for like PC only though, right? Or is this across the board?
No, this is PC only. This is bringing PC down to console level.
Oh god.
When we wanted it the opposite way of console being brought up to PC. And that's, again, monkey's paw curl. Do you want crossplay? Weapons are about to be way shittier on PC. Because, let's put it this way. If you use Gnawing Hunger or Recluse or Ikelos SMG, those things are like fucking lasers on PC.
I know. I watch some people play on PC and sometimes. It's just
they
like,
very much are not on console.
No, it's bad. Like watching them play with Gnawing Hunger and the Ikelos submachine gun is like watching people play at Halo 1 with the assault rifle. Like it's recoil at all.
It's gross. It's seriously, it's just a fucking laser. So the following archetypes will have their mouse and keyboard recoil adjusted closer to controller: auto rifle, scout rifle, pulse, submachine gun, hand cannon, and machine gun. In the case of pulse, SMG, and machine gun, we'll be introducing some buffs. So camera movement from firing an SMG is reduced by 24%, 7% on pulse rifle, and machine gun 9.5%. Buffs that we are getting next season: rocket launchers, increased damage by 30%.
Good.
Very excited for this.
Good.
Exotic rocket launchers have been adjusted individually and are affected by this change to different degrees. We can finally use Two-Tailed Fox and it actually be useful for the first time ever.
Thank God, because
2 years after being introduced.
Remember when that thing was introduced and he was like, "This is the next Gallahorn. It's going to be the next Gallahorn," and then it just sucked.
Yeah, it was a piece of shit from day one.
Yeah.
I've legit seen one person use it, and that's my girlfriend because she thought it was pretty. That was the exact reasoning that I was given. Thank God it was only in the blind well and not in a raid. Fusion rifle usage is low, and they're an unreliable choice in Crucible compared to shotguns. The fall-off start...
Really?
Fall-off start distance, 6% with 0 range, 16% with 100 range. Reduced camera movement by 9.5. Breach grenade launcher projectiles will now detonate on impact with a character even if holding the trigger, no longer having to fire and then release the trigger. Or tap it again to explode or whatever. I've never been good with breach loaders.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I've only ever used Mountaintop, and I just got that this season. So,
yeah, that's probably smart, right? Though.
Oh, that's a no-brainer move. I can't believe it took us like 2 years to get to this point.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
So
now if we just had like more than one that was useful in the game.
Right. Or like if they would stop giving me the same one every time. Give me something useful.
Right. Increased ADS flinch to snipers when taking damage from other players. Thank God. And then sword damage is going to be reduced by 15%. Because they're still too dominant. This, for me, is less of a problem with swords and more of a glaring indication that other choices in the heavy slot just suck ass.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Like, I always just run a sword.
Guillotine was nerfed going into Beyond Light, and it is still the best legendary option you have in that slot.
It is. Yeah. I mean, there's no other...
Even after this nerf, it's still going to be your top one. I think this will probably bring it more in line with if you choose to use spike nades again, which I still like to use my spike nades. This will probably bring it in if you have spike nades with full court and clown cartridge. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the god roll these days. Like if you are lucky enough to have one of those, this will probably bring Falling Guillotine close to that, close-ish at least.
Yeah.
Lament is still going to do insane damage. Atrax, you may have to take out one more copy now. Like, that's the biggest change that's going to affect with Lament. Your anime sword will not completely kill everything in one hit anymore. And then there are some exotic changes. Some exotic weapons lose their buffs when you switch weapons, which is intended. They also lose it when pulling out your ghost, which is not intended. They finally have fixed that issue after legit years of asking on Ace of Spades and Teraba. And apparently it was doing it on Hawkmoon as well. So those are now fixed. Borealis and Hardlight will have a custom animation for switching damage type. I'm excited to see what that is. Duality, they nerfed some of that. Buff stacks for 7 to 5. And increase the fall off distance so it can't quite snipe you anymore. And yeah, those are the big ones. And the final note, which I'm really excited to hear about, given the state of trials, tuning pass will happen on Arbalest. It will not be ready for February 9th, but it will be touched later on in season 13. Extremely excited for that one because Arbalest just absolutely demolishes. So, Corey, anything in there that stands out to you? It's a bunch of numbers basically right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited for the some of the changes for the heavy weapons specifically. I mean, I love using the swords, but like you said, they're the best option right now. So there's not like I don't feel the need to switch it up.
Everything literally, even like the Vex Hydras do a fucking boss stomp. Like, I'm excited to have an option now that doesn't require me to either be super precise with my aim, but that I can put some tracking on. So, like, Bad Omens with tracking and cluster bombs is back on the menu, boys. I can't wait to use that again. I have a fully masterworked one still camping out of my vault waiting that I did last season. Yeah. I'm very excited to go back to using this, which I haven't really needed to in a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I'm excited for the breach grenade launcher changes. I'm excited for some of the sniper rifle nerfs because, like, as someone who doesn't use sniper rifles in big open crucible areas, like, you're toast if you try to run across the open field, you know, and the fact that maybe I can run across the field and not die on the first shot might and it might intrigue me to play some more Crucible. So, but yeah, I mean, I think these are all pretty decent changes for controller players. Sorry for you PC players. I know one of the people that listens to us, Yodeler, he plays on PC, and I'm just like, oh man, I saw these changes. I was like, man, sorry, dude. Come to my level, I guess. So. But yeah, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with any of these changes really for the way that I play. So it's all good, man.
Yeah. One thing that I do want to note while we're sitting here, DMG just tweeted out. He says, any weekly bounties that you have in your player inventory, even if they're completed, will be removed at the beginning of Season 13. So if you've been stacking those up to get an early start on next season's Season Pass, I am guilty of doing this towards the end of a season. Go ahead and turn those in now because they will be auto-removed and you will not get the Bright Dust or the XP from them. So you might as well just go ahead and turn them in, reset next week with your extra buff, get that wonderful extra Bright Ingram out of all of it. And I don't think there's... we do have one more thing on the Schwab. I'm sorry. We have one more thing. Crimson Days, as we know it, is dead. It's gone.
Darn.
One of our first seasonal events in Destiny 1. Traditionally, we carried to Destiny 2. It's been missing the mark in terms of quality over the last few years. Remember that remark? We're about to circle back to it. We'll miss this event. The move will allow us to maintain focus for alternate seasonal offerings, ranging from quests to activities and more. We've quite a bit planned for next season, and our hope is that we've maintained or even improved the quality you've come to expect from the release. Some of you may be asking about the fate of Crimson Doubles. This mode is currently being shifted to the Destiny Content Vault, but may return in the future. So, I kind of said at the top of the show we were going to talk about this. This has been a topic that's been brewing with Corey and I for a while now. We kind of touched on it at the end of last year with both Kernel Panic and Nerd Generalist in regards to seasonal events, such as Festival of the Lost, the Dawning, Crimson Doubles, or Crimson Days, whatever you want to call it, Solstice, and what used to be the Revelry and is now Guardian Games.
Yeah.
This is a great move, in my opinion. I think this was something that needed to happen very badly. Because, let's be honest, Crimson Doubles came in for a week. Not even for like a 2 or 3 week event. It was here for a week.
Mm-hmm. It's
not that fun.
No.
And your reward was the same thing, like 3 years in a row. It was the same bow.
Mm-hmm.
The Vow.
Mm-hmm.
2-3 years in a row, something like that, I think. It was 2 years. 2 years. 2 years in a row was the same thing. Same ornaments, everything else. Like, there weren't any very unique rewards. This does bring up a question of, what happens to those rewards now? Do they go into the Bright Dust pool, Bright Ingrams, whatever? They don't address that here. But I think this is indicative of a larger conversation we need to have, because last year, almost every event we had was awful.
Mm-hmm.
It was just boring. Like, we've done these for so many years. I hope this is the beginning of a trend of us revamping every single event this year. Because I think that Solstice was done right last year with the armor grind. It's just, for some of us, it was like, fuck, they made the armor grind easier this year, but we got so burned out doing it the last 2 or 3 years, we don't want to do it again.
Right.
And it's ironic because I think this is the best looking armor we've ever gotten. It's the best upgrade path we've ever had for the armor. We got more cosmetics given to us than ever before, but we were just so burned out on the event. Like, if Solstice is the one thing that they actually keep intact largely the way that it was last year, I'd be okay with that. Guardian Games has to change. That was a bounty simulator. That's all it was for 3 weeks. Cool idea, shit execution like everything else in Season of the Worthy. Festival of the Lost, I mentioned that this year. I barely touched it. I'm done. I'm over Festival of the Lost.
I'm ready for some new, if they change it, like, okay, cool, but like, I'm ready for like a new event in that time slot. You know, like, I'm
absolutely ready. And I do think that this change signals them moving into more of a pattern, like we talked about, like, an event towards the end of each season.
Mm-hmm.
A seasonal thing, if they do keep the release in October or in November, like we're speculating, that would set up for one basically at the end of every season, with the exception of the first season, which, you'll get Dawning in the middle, which is fine. That kind of helps you carry on. Dawning is another one I feel kind of similar about. Like, I like baking the cookies. I think that's a lot of fun, actually. I love making Zavala fat. Zavala and Shax get so many cookies from me because they're right there. And this year, Christmas Grandma got a lot of cookies from me as well, since we could finally make them for her. But as much as I like doing that, I also feel like that, in a way, has gotten pretty stale too. This is the 3rd year in a row we've done it. It's time. You know, it's time for a new event. It's time for other things to happen. Like, I like the change that they made this year, though, where when you ranked up in the community event, you got things from past Dawnings. You got emotes, even if they were just blue or purple. You got those. You got past sparrows. You got past ships. Like, that was really cool to me. That's the kind of stuff that needs to happen with things that are either no longer going to be in play or just aren't earnable anymore. Let us earn them through gameplay the next year. If you want them right away, pay for them. Use your Bright Dust. Use your silver. But
yeah, I mean, that's something we've been talking about
for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't understand. I don't know why that's like. Is it that hard to do? Like, I mean, is it hard to do that? Like, is there something within their engine or the model that they shift content that it's that hard? Like, why is that not a thing?
I think it gets back keeping the artificial grind, right? But, like, you know as well as I do, there are certain things that have never come back around.
Yeah.
From some of these seasonal events. Like, I was so happy this year when they offered the Hardlight emote through Twitch Prime, because I missed that last year, and I didn't get a chance for it. I have never gotten a chance to get the Black Talon when I missed 2 years ago ever again.
Yeah.
I've never gotten a chance for that again, and it's like, that happened, but that ornament was out before I had Black Talon, so I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
And then I got it and I was like, shit, I really like using this weapon, but that's like one of the coolest ones. It looks like you're carrying around a ice sword.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
I think like personally, I think ornaments for weapons should be around all season or all year, like forever.
I have some mixed feelings on that one. I do think that there needs to be a way. I think that maybe like 2 or 3 legacy ornaments a week should be a section in Eververse. Like, okay, you do those, and then like, oh, well, maybe we'll offer like a really rare one or something for, like super reduced silver. I don't know. Like, oh, God, no more for silver, actually. Like, we'll offer these for Bright Dust. Like, we'll have one for this season that'll rotate out, and then we'll have 2 others that you can get each week or something, or like every couple of weeks or something. I don't know, something like that to give players a chance. Like, there's stuff from year 1 that's never come back.
Yeah.
One of the great complaints from hunters is that we could never get the Stompies ornaments with the mechanical legs, which I didn't realize how rare those were. I got them out of a Bright Ingram back in, I think, year 1 or beginning of year 2. I didn't realize how rare those were. I've literally never worn those without those on. And people are like, oh my God, where'd you get that? I'm like, oh, like the prismatic facet, I think, back in year 1. They're like, oh my God, like, dude, I didn't get that. Like, I missed it that season, or I didn't play that season, so I can never get it. And like, same with the Orpheus rig ornaments. Like, that never came back around until recently. Like, now with the changes to Bright Ingrams and you can get stuff from any season. That's cool, but as you add more seasons to that, the more diluted that loot pool gets again. Like, right. You're going to get to a point where you're going to eventually need to take out all legendary items.
Do you think they're like that loot pool is like? Do you think they once you get one of them? Do you think they remove that from your loot pool, and then that's how you keep your probability high as you just keep buying stuff?
As far as I know, that's how it works. Once you've acquired something, it's not supposed to roll for you again, with the exception of shaders, and transmat effects. I believe are the only things that will roll for you again.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't know because all I get are year 1 ghosts, sparrows, and ships, of which I thought I had all of them by now.
Nope.
But I keep getting them. I've got to be getting close on blue emotes. I'm telling you, I got to be getting real close on that.
There's so many. First of all, why are there colored emotes? Like, okay, like, you can have legendary and exotic ones, and the exotic ones can be for, like, special things, whatever. But, like, why are there blue and greens, Like, why?
I don't know. I mean, who is actually using the green ones, first off? I will admit I used to use the hunter sit a lot, and then I got one with a chair, and I was like, nah, I'm too good to sit on the ground now.
Yeah.
So, the chair it is.
Yeah. I mean, I have a chair one, too, but it's just like...
Mm-hmm. It's bad. It's bad. It's become frankly unmanageable. I wish that I had a mode to hide all green and blue emotes.
Yeah.
And just show my legendary and exotic ones. Because I mean, even legendaries, like I have, I think, one legendary that I ever equip, and that's the flare gun. Mm-hmm. And even that's been taken off because I have so many cool exotic ones now that I want to use. Like just weird ones like the DJ, the Callus chair. Tiny Ride, Sad Trombone. Like I've got so many that I use. Like I got my asshole emotes as I call them.
I use the red card one. I use the one where
Sad Trombone. I'm telling you, I do the fireworks where you're dancing around like an asshole.
Mm-hmm. The self-celebration one where the people are like throwing flowers at you and stuff.
The selfie one I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm. And now the Xbox has the share button.
Yeah,
it works way better.
I love it so much. But it's things like that. Like, but it's clear we need to change these seasonal events. We got to change it up. Like, we took some good steps in Solstice,
mm-hmm.
and with not just Solstice, but with Moments of Triumph as well. I mean, with all the cosmetics, all the physical rewards we got out of that, like we took some really great strides
mm-hmm.
in that. But we need that to reflect in all seasonal events, and unless you can do that, maybe we don't have to do a seasonal event. Maybe we don't need something this spring because you guys need to revamp what you do. Like maybe we don't need to do Guardian games again unless you're going to do something drastically different. If you're just going to give me what you gave me last year, I urge you not to put it in the game. You'll earn more goodwill from keeping it out than putting it in.
Mm-hmm.
like Revelry, as broken as it was so fun for people because I was seeing people were just like throwing shards of Galnor at Riven because supers were coming back instantly.
Yeah.
Like you had like triple solar damage. Like that's how people were getting through some of these raids for the first time. I love seeing shit like that. I'd love to go with a team of Celestial Nighthawks and hypothetically if something like that happens or like a group of all warlocks if they were to do void for a week or something and just be able to throw 6 Nova bombs at the sanctified mind. I would love that so much. But who knows what they're going to do. Like they took the Revelry out because it was too broken. Then they put Guardian games in which was too shit. So what the only clear solution is to bring back Sparrow Racing League. I'm just going to say.
I mean, why not?
Why not? I personally don't care about it. I'll skip the event altogether if they bring back Sparrow Racing League, but that's something people have asked for a long time.
I want to show off my tiny Sparrow. It's Mitch and I, we always play together when we're both Titans and we both ride tiny Sparrows, and we were like, we should start a clan called Tots, Titans on Tiny Sparrows.
I love it. I love it. I mean, like, if you're not using Tiny Ride, I did buy the Tiny Snowmobile.
Mm-hmm.
The sled, whatever it is.
Cool.
I did buy that. I've been driving that around. I love it. Well, more wacky Sparrows like that.
Mm-hmm.
I love it so
much.
I
want more wacky stuff like that in general. Like
I do too, and I like that it's tied to the seasonal events too, because it's like, okay, I'm not getting that shit out of Bright Ingrams. Like that's keeping it with it. The Bright Ingrams tend to be stuff that you would actually see in universe, I feel, and stuff you get in Eververse. This, on the other hand, though, this is literally meant to be fun. Like, I mean, I have fucking werewolf armor from Festival of the Lost. Like, that's awesome. I'm not gonna get that out of a Bright Ingram walking around. I'm not gonna get like, fucking elf armor or whatever it is. Right. I don't know what you want to call the dawning armors. Like,
yeah.
There's so much cool stuff. Like, and unless you're our friend A1 Johnny, you're not wearing the Titan bath towel from Guardian games.
No.
So
the Titan armor is getting worse, I think.
Oh, dude, it's getting so bad. Y'all went from it's just like it's rain gutters and bath towels.
Like
that's all you have.
I'm really tired of like multiple versions of like a knight. Like give me something cool. Like the warlock armor and the hunter armor is so cool. And then I play as a Titan, and it's like, oh well, I got giant kneecaps again. I don't know. It's just give me something cool, man.
It's rough.
I want to look agile, like I can move through the world. I don't want to like look like this big lumbering idiot, which I get. That's what the Titan is. But like, I want to look cool, Bring me back some of that Sparrow Racing League spandex.
There's so many things you can do for these events, and I just really hope that they unvault some stuff or they change. If you're going to keep existing events, like the approach they're taking with Crimson Days, that's great. You're taking it away for the year to retool it. Maybe you'll bring something back next year.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's cool. Like, I also don't think we need to have a seasonal event starting literally a week into a season.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even be a weekend. It would be the week of the season coming out. Like, you're going to be doing story content. You're not going to be worrying about doing that.
Yeah.
Hell, even last year when it happened, I was more focused on finishing up Season of the Dawn stuff than I was about that. Also, I was going on vacation when that happened, since it happens over Valentine's. But, I don't know. Just rework things. This Schwab is really good for showing that you are listening to a lot of player feedback.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to keep that momentum going. Like, I'm anxiously awaiting to see what we get next week now, since it'll be the final one before a season starts, and we'll have the new story trailer. We'll presumably know some of the season pass rewards by the time we record next week. God, dude, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed right now.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
All the fingers.
Got some toes crossed.
I would cross my toes, but I'm not that dexterous.
Yeah, I can barely just walk.
I'm missing a few nerves down there, so.
So, I don't know. I'm excited. I like the changes in here. I'm ready. I'm looking forward to this next season. I'm looking forward to like just the rest of the expansion. Honestly,
yeah. I want to see how the story shapes out to lead us into Witch Queen.
Yeah, like I'm really excited for Witch Queen. Like I know it's like really early to be excited for it, but I want to see what's leading up to it because like the Witch Queen feels like this is going to be this game's. I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to position it this way because of what it involves and the characters that it involves, but it feels like they're really positioning it as the Taken King big major expansion, the first big like a new major expansion on the level of Taken King and Forsaken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Beyond Light in so many ways feels like the launch of a new game.
Yeah, it sure does. Like,
and we've said that a lot. Like, and there's going to be growing pains with it, right? Like, we know there's going to be continued, stasis tweaks going in the next season and whatnot. Like, Crucible, like I mentioned earlier, like Crucible is just simply not fun if you're not playing with friends or using stasis. Like, you pretty much have to use it to stay competitive, even in like Control and stuff.
mm-hmm.
It's rough.
Yeah.
And I mean, Iron Banner's a lot better now that you can play the solo playlist.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I mean, it's just like, God, dude, it's fucking stasis and hand cannons is all it is.
I know. That's all it ever is. Like, it's just.
And I mean, like, I get it, like, to a point, like, but there's also not a PvP meta at the same time, which is really funny to say because I just said everyone uses stasis and hand cannons.
Mm-hmm.
You can rock no matter what you're doing. You can just absolutely ball out. Like, I've had several games in the past couple of weeks where I finished top of the leaderboard using a fucking pulse and using gnawing hunger, or using forward path as my primary and using last hope as my sidearm. I gotta find a more reliable sidearm. I got Fool's Remedy, but I want to find another one.
Yeah.
With the sunsetting, a lot of people had really hoped that they were gonna walk back sunsetting, and it's just like, guys, it's not happening.
It's not.
It's simply not. Like, if it was gonna happen, they would have said it this week.
Yeah.
They're giving of the balancing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna walk it back. I suspect if they do, it'll be when the fall comes out, when the fall expansion. They'll be like, yeah, so we realized we made a mistake. We're not going to sunset weapons going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that happening, but that would be it. That's the only thing I could see. Or like, hey, we're going to drop it on armor at least.
Yeah.
We understand not everybody wants to grind out for fully masterworked armor every year. And like, I hear people say like, oh, well, the masterworked armor doesn't really matter, like, unless you're doing trials and raids. And that's actually pretty accurate. Like, unless you're doing trials, raids, or grandmasters, you really don't need a fully masterworked kit. You can more than competently get through with 8 or 9 slots.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I so rarely masterwork armor. Like, if I'm going to masterwork armor, it's going to be on an exotic piece that rolled at like a natural 67 or 68
mm-hmm.
that I know I'm going to use a lot. So it's going to be my shards, it's going to be my Celestial Nighthawk, my Orpheus rigs, my Stompies, whatever. Like, it's going to be on something like that, or it's going to be on an exotic weapon that's never going to age out on me. It's going to be on my Jotun. It's going to be on my, my Xenophage. It's going to be something like that. Like, I guess you're not masterworking exotic weapons, but like, if I needed to, like, I would be masterworking weapons over armor.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's
something that has to be addressed, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
So, Corey, do we want to do questions first, or do we want to do lore corner?
I think we should do questions first. I like ending on lore corner.
Let's do questions. We got 2 things from one of our friends.
We do, Josh. Why don't? I think you have them both. So.
Yes, I'm pulling up one of them right now.
We're so prepared.
So prepared. This comes from our friend Todd Oxtra, good friend of the show, good guy that Corey and I have known for a very long time. I haven't played Destiny since Forsaken. Any tips? Any preferred class? I previously focused on a Warlock.
Well, Warlock has one of the coolest stasis supers, I can tell you that.
It has the best stasis super.
Yeah.
Bar none, even after the nerf.
If you haven't played since Forsaken, I would at least play through the story stuff for Shadowkeep. I know like some of the seasonal stuff, like the important stuff leading into Beyond Light is kind of gone, but I still think that those campaigns are worth playing through. If he hasn't played since Forsaken, would it be smart? I mean, I know Shahan is like the worst character of all time, but would it be worth him playing through the new light stuff just to get caught up on like the way things have changed and stuff?
I don't think so. Just knowing like Todd's a Destiny 1 veteran. He played some in D1. I remember talking about that with him a long time ago. And then if you played Forsaken, I don't really think you need to. There are some changes, but you're going to kind of learn it. Like, it's not going to teach you about upgrading your gear. It's not going to teach you about how infusion works now, or about masterwork cores and enhancement prisms and stuff. Like, it's not going to teach you all that shit. I would encourage you to stick with your Warlock if you already have an existing character, especially if that's a character that you imported from Destiny 1. You do still have the veteran dialogue, which I really like. It's not like major changes, but it is nice to see that cohesive story.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my tip is pretty much the same as Corey's. Definitely play through Shadowkeep and Beyond Light. Do Shadowkeep first and then go into Beyond Light.
Mm-hmm.
That'll help boost you some levels too going into that, so you're not like 20 or 30 under and being like our friend Ray calling me being like, all right, man, so I got to one of those parts that you said was kind of hard to solo when you're under leveled. Can you come help? And, jumping in and just decimating it with Lament or with Falling Guillotine.
Yeah. I would also advise you to go kind of seek out the exotic weapons from this season. I think the exotic quests are relatively easy.
I mean, once you get up to level, Lament will absolutely tear you apart if you're not ready.
Yeah. But I soloed those pretty easily. I mean,
so I'm approaching this from like him coming in right at like 1050.
Yeah, but if he plays through Shadowkeep,
after you play through Shadowkeep and Beyond Light, absolutely start chasing exotics.
Yeah.
Get Lament, get Xenophage. I would say that those two are... I don't think Lament is necessarily essential, but it is a really good storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Xenophage, on the other hand, I would say is pretty much essential to go get.
Yeah. And if you need help, we'll help you. Like, I mean, I know you have to go through the dungeon for Xenophage, but those first few steps are pretty...
And that's the last thing I was going to get to is, I think beyond doing the campaigns and, a handful of the exotic quests, I think the most important thing that you can go do is going to be the dungeons. I think that's the best example of endgame content right now in Destiny, are the 3 dungeons that they have, as well as the Deepstone Crypt. That's a great, easy-ish raid to do, which is shocking. I wasn't expecting it to be that beginner-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
But it is one that very much gets you back into the groove. Like, this is a great expansion to jump into if you haven't played in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Because it very much does not necessarily hold your hand, but it does teach you a lot of things. And there are some things you're going to have to learn on your own. I think something the game really needs to do a lot better at is teaching you how to use your infusion materials and how to get those.
Yeah.
Getting your cores, your prisms, and your golf balls, your ascendant shards, whatever you want to call them. It's just how, tokens don't matter anymore. Most of your materials do and don't matter. Planetary ones.
Yeah, there's
some very weird stuff going on. Like, if you've been listening the last couple of weeks, like, they're changing so much stuff right now. Like, this is a good time to get back in.
Yeah. And the planetary materials from the planets that are gone. Obviously, I would see if Spider is selling things for those if you have them.
Yeah, start unloading those.
Yeah.
The only other piece of advice I can give you is if you don't want to keep playing a Warlock, both of the other classes are completely viable. This is like the first time in a very long time where I feel like you can say, yeah, all 3 of them are worth playing.
Mm-hmm. There's
not one that's just wildly outbalanced or just insanely useful in endgame content right now. Like, we learned this the hard way last week when my buddy Matt and I ran the Harbinger mission. We were both on stasis, and his super was next to useless in that room because we were underleveled.
Mm-hmm.
In the final boss or in both boss rooms. He was useless with his super. Whereas I had my axes on and I was throwing them, but I eventually even took those off and switched over to my Celestial Nighthawk. Good old reliable over there, popping off a third of the knight's health. And you're gonna learn this when you play. One of the biggest changes, and something that, again, you can't really be taught by listening to a podcast, that it's going to be through some trial and error. It's going to be through, kind of looking up some strategies, figuring out what type of play style you want to go for. There's a lot of new things with the mods. Like, mods are brand new. The armor mods, the armor and weapon mods. We had weapon mods. We've got armor mods now. Charts with light, warmind cells, the raid mods. There's so much funky stuff going on. Your armor and weapons are constantly on a rotating timer now. It very much is trying to become more of an MMO, but part of the grind does feel pretty artificial, and it is a little rough.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Todd, and I know that he plays a lot of games. I don't know if he's going to dive that deep into that stuff, the mods and really,
right,
making builds and stuff.
You can enjoy the game without doing any sort of build, but basic mods, like, you need to understand how those work.
Yeah. So I mean, like Josh said, I think you should stay with your warlock at this point. Like the legacy dialogue is really great to see, that cohesive story, and the warlocks are great this season. Like, they have the best stasis ability. So I don't really have anything else to add.
I don't either. The other comment that we had from Todd was about the story accessibility.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this last week, but I mean, I still think there's got to be a better way to get, like, whether it's through like a visual novel type thing in the game to catch you up on where you're at, or like I was thinking about Mass Effect the other day, because one of those viral tweets was going around and I answered it. And I was thinking about Mass Effect, and like, man, those visual comics at the beginning of 2 and 3 like would be really useful in Destiny, in terms of like, just like, okay, at least for like Destiny 1 is like, okay, here's kind of like what happened. This is what happened here. Here's the Taken King storyline. Here's the Rise of Iron. Oh, the Red War campaign's gone. Here's kind of what happened leading up to Forsaken. You know what I mean? Like a previously on Destiny type thing. Gears does a great job with it. I don't know. There's just got to be a way to get it in there.
It needs to happen. It's bad right now. It's especially with moving all of this out. It's real rough. I don't enjoy it, having to explain the story to anybody who jumps back in after an extended period. Yes, the lore is more accessible than ever, but nobody, like, well, I don't want to say nobody, like, most people don't want to sit there and read a whole bunch of text in game, right? They want to have the main story beats given to them. And even the Exo Stranger, I mean, you go into Beyond Light, if you didn't play Destiny 1, you're like, who the fuck is this? Even having played Destiny 1, I'm like, okay, so what's the point in her being here? Like, we don't find that out until the very end of the campaign. You're just kind of left wondering, like, okay, who is this? Why should I care? Like, I almost feel like that's something that should have been told to us from the beginning.
Yeah, and even if people aren't,
it
like,
also wouldn't have made sense in the story. It's a catch-22.
But like, to me, it's like, even if you aren't, if you aren't deep in Destiny lore, you're not gonna know who she is, like, you're just not gonna know. Like, you're not gonna know she's one of the Bray sisters. What's the importance of the Bray sisters? Oh, what is Clovis Bray? And I know, like, they kind of go through that within the campaign and everything, but it's just like, if you didn't care about the Stranger in Destiny 1, or like didn't play Destiny 1, you're not gonna care. It's just like, oh, I'm just gonna go to Snowy Planet and shoot stuff now.
Yeah,
I hear people I see people like jumping into Destiny now, and it's like, who's this robot chick and why do I care? You know what I mean? Like, I still see that even after people play the campaigns and stuff, and it's like,
again, it requires you to do a little bit of reading there on screen.
Yeah, and and it's just like,
or it's in a throwaway line, and it's very weird because it feels very like we're dropping this for you, but we're really not going to address this for like another year. And that's the shit that Destiny doesn't need right now. We need to start answering questions, not adding more mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can add a mystery or two, but it can't be a whole expansion of mysteries. We already have the mystery of the darkness. Like, the whole next couple expansions are going to be about us finding out the true nature of it, like of light and dark, and that battle coming to a head. Like, we don't need questions about NPCs that have already been around for 5 or 6 years that we still don't know much about.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of the Stranger, like, we finally have learned about, Drifter's backstory, but, why was Drifter there? Why was Eris there? Like, we kind of know why Eris was there. We don't really know, like, oh, Drifter's just kind of tagging along because him and Eris are buddies now. Like, why did the Stranger call, him specifically? It's very strange, and no pun intended. It's weird, and at least going into Shadowkeep, you could still play the material leading up to that. Now, with all that gone, it's like, so we have the campaign for Forsaken, we have the campaign for Shadowkeep, but we're missing all of the seasonal content. So you're missing Black Armory is going to circle back around at some point. We don't have Black Armory. By taking out Joker's Wild, you miss Drifter's backstory with the Xur bounties.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have, most of Opulence was like relegated to Callus, which, at this point, honestly, you don't even need to know who Callus was as of this moment in the game.
Mm-hmm.
They are literally pretending as if he never existed right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Leviathan is just gone. There's no in-game reason for it. It's bizarre. And then, with Shadowkeep, it's like, oh, well, Saint 14, like, okay, so who is this dude who's just hanging out? Like, why is this a big deal? Like, you didn't play Season of Dawn or you didn't play Destiny 1, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Oh, you're telling me that Rasputin survived? Like, I remember him. He was the robot guy from Destiny 1. Can I get a refresher? Nah, because we didn't quite understand it either when it happened. Like, there's so many smaller things. Like, I've seen new players jumping in going like, okay, so why are we getting revenge for Cayde? Why is it such a big deal? And it's like, well, you kind of had to play for the previous 4 years to understand, but Cayde was the only character they ever gave any sort of personality to.
Yeah. He's the only character anybody ever cared about because of that.
Which, thank God, they've changed. Like, I care about so many of these characters now.
Yeah.
But it took until Shadowkeep for me to care about Eris.
Yeah.
It took until now for me to really care about Uldren and then the Crows arc.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Spider is becoming more and more interesting. Drifter had an okay backstory, but I think Arrivals really fleshed him out. Like, knowing he helped Osiris build the time machine. Like, oh God, Osiris, we've gotten so much in the last year. Like,
yeah,
there's so many characters now that are just,
one of the most important story elements happened off screen for him. Like, he's in the tower.
They killed Sagira off screen.
Like, like that should have been. We're
still doing things in lore dumps on Bungie.net, and it's like, I understand why some of this is happening. Like, Osiris, and let's not mince words here. Cutscenes are expensive. Okay, cutscenes are very expensive to make. But some of these lore dumps, like Osiris going to these different planets, say you didn't have to start that season right away. You could have had a different cutscene like each week for a couple weeks of him going to these vaulted planets.
Yeah.
And seeing what had happened and like kind of like taking note. And then like on the 5th week is when he goes to the moon and you see him, because he harnesses all 3 supers at once. It's literally described to us. He's harnessing all 3 elements, something no Guardian has ever done before. Or if they have, it's not recorded. And he's only able to do that at like Sagira, or that just keeps Sagira from dying. And we see Sagira's death happens in the lore. We spend an entire campaign with her.
Yeah.
In Curse of Osiris. Like, so you gotta be fucking kidding me with that.
Yeah.
Like, let me see this stuff on screen. We got to see Cayde's death. Let me see Sagira's death. Like, I get to
even if it's
even
if it's an engine, right? Like, you don't have to produce this big, huge, like,
right,
super expensive blurred style cutscene, right? Like, don't get me wrong.
No,
I thought it
doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be Cayde 6's death.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I really liked the cutscene at the opening of the campaign with, you know, Stranger and Drifter and Aerith kind of like annihilating a bunch of bad guys with their supers, but it's just like I can see other story elements in Engine. It's like it doesn't have to be this huge expensive $1 million cutscene, you know?
Yeah. No. Like I'm fine with doing the occasional big cutscene. Like I think your ones that intro the season should be big ones.
Mm-hmm.
But like we've seen like in Engine ones, like with Crow leaving Spider, and the conversation with Crow outside of Spider's lair, things like that. Like you can do that in Engine, and it's just like a little bit of dialogue and a little bit of like acted out. Like it goes a long way. I didn't need to read that. I'm glad I got to see that stuff happen.
Yeah.
Like I want more of that, but more than that, the other thing I would like is if you're not going to let us play those expansions, now can we get some cutscenes similar to the intro to Destiny 2, the sketched out intro where Ghost is narrating? Like, can we get that? Like, so kind of like when you see your veteran video of the clearing the raids and the campaigns in Destiny 1, can we get some stuff like that like kind of sum up what happened, but like, I don't know, get Nolan North or whoever it is that does the voice of Ghost now, and let him narrate over it, or let Zavala narrate over it, or Ikora or something. Get a different person for each one, and just have like an animated thing that sums up what happened in each season or each expansion pack.
Right.
That's no longer in there.
Right.
Like it's a travesty that you cannot play these stories anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I understand taking out things like the Menagerie. I understand taking out, like pretty much anything on the Leviathan at this point to save space. There was no reason for Scourge of the Past to go away, though.
Right.
There really wasn't a reason for it to stay either, though, if we're being honest, because it doesn't really tell a story.
Right.
Black Armory, okay, I understand. Like, you don't need to know about the Black Armory to understand the universe. Not right now, at least. But, like, Drifter's story, I think that absolutely needs to be told in one of those sketched out scenes.
It's, like, I think the biggest thing for people.
Season of Dawn missions need to be there. The Saint 14 missions need to be in the game.
Yeah, I think the biggest one too is like people jumping into Beyond Light. Like Season of Arrivals was so important to the beginning of this expansion. It was like you can't play that content anymore. So like, what are these pyramid ships? What are they doing here? Why are they here? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Which, I mean, you can't even see the missions that led up to it because they were teased in the post-credits of the vanilla Destiny 2 campaign, and then we saw them inching closer each season last year.
Yeah.
Like, we got to the point we were running into a fucking bunker, tracking them on a map every week in the spring because we had nothing better to do in the game. Like, that was a real thing, and we were like, they're going to be here sooner than we thought. And then like, oh, fuck, there's actually a pyramid here. Oh, my God, this is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've had some... And, I mean, at the beginning of the seasons, we sometimes get things summed up for us. Like, beginning of season of Arrivals, they summed up what happened in Season of the Worthy.
Mm-hmm.
They did do that for us. We got a little bit of that here at the beginning of this season. Like, but I think those need to be viewable forever. Like, they don't have to be part of the game files download to your console. Like, oh, you can only view them if you're viewing them in the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're in the cloud. You can only view them if you're connected to the internet. Whatever. Like,
I mean, at this point, games are letting you...
Let me see every cutscene and story summation that you've done for Destiny 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at this point, like...
Because you need to be able to explain this.
We talked a little bit about it last week, but games are allowing you to download separate parts of games now. And it's like, well... If I just want to play the Beyond Light content, just let me download the Beyond Light content and the seasonal stuff. But if I want to play like this old stuff, give me an option to download it and play it.
Not only give me an option for that, give me an option to take out all the extra language packs, which honestly, because the audio is uncompressed, that is what's taking up so much of this game space.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the actual game itself. It's a lot of it is the language packs. Let me take those out. That would save me at least like a quarter of my game space.
Mm-hmm.
Let me take those. I would rather give those back to get back the campaigns. Maybe you don't have to give me the planets. Like, I understand the planets are vaulted for, they kudos to them. They made up a story reason for why we can't go there. Although it's a little weird that like we can't go to Mars, but we can fly beyond it to go to the reef, or to go to Europa. We can fly beyond Mars, and like Io isn't accessible, but like Io is here, and fucking Europa's over here, but
Mhm.
we can go to it. Like, that's a little weird to me, but I'm here for it. Like, okay, it's a game about space wizards. I don't need to understand everything, but it's the same question we had about Destiny 2. Like, why can't we just go to the fucking moon and regroup? Why did we have to go all the way to Titan? Why did
Right.
we have to go all the way to Nessus or to Io? Like, the moon is right there, and the Cabal literally have never shown up on the moon. Can we just go to the moon? Like, I don't know, but yeah, to answer to echo Todd's concern a little bit, like, yeah, you have to be able to replay this stuff. Like, I have to believe that eventually they're gonna say, okay, we've heard your complaints. Here's all the story content, all strikes. And I do believe their mission is to get all strikes and all raids in this game eventually.
Mhm.
Like, even doing all strikes, I mean, so many of those are side stories to the campaigns as far as I'm concerned, or in some cases they expand upon them, like taking down the Fanatic, doing Warden of Nothing. Like, those enhance my understanding of those campaigns
Mhm.
of Forsaken. You know, freeing Kali
Mhm.
from not Kali, Sadia. Kali is done in Last Wish, but freeing Sadia, that's the last of the Queen's Techians. You free the other two, Kali and Shirochi, during Last Wish. That's important to understanding the story of the Dreaming City. And by contrast, the fall of Uldren, the fall of Riven, Savathun, like, these are little pillars that build up to a bigger story.
Mhm.
Thank God we haven't vaulted any dungeons yet, because the dungeons actually matter.
Yeah.
Well, except we still don't know what the fuck is going on in Prophecy, but
It's cool though.
oh, it's cool. It makes me feel like I'm playing Destiny on drugs. But yeah, no. Theater mode, campaigns, and all strikes should be
Mhm.
added back. Give me
Yeah.
the option at least. Give me a strike pack. Like,
I mean, here's the thing, like,
Destiny 1 strikes.
it doesn't have to be in the playlist, but you can go if you go to the planets and just click on the strike, you can play it. You know what I mean?
No, fuck that. Put them in the playlist. Now that you no longer have bounties tied to them, weekly ones, put them in the playlist. What are you hurting? I'd rather have a selection rather than like 9 strikes. I'd love to have like the 25 from across the franchise that it could roll me on, rather than getting Exodus down and, you know, backing out of it again.
Right.
Like, give me the option to do any of those on a Grandmaster. Give me Rocket's McDick face as a Grandmaster. Let me hide behind that box. I'm not too afraid to do it.
Well, Josh, what do you say we get into some lore corner?
We're gonna get into some lore corner. We're gonna finish up the man who they called Cayde this week. I gotta make sure that we haven't read which ones we've done this. Yep. Well, I'm trying to remember which ones we did last week. We did. I did not mark them, and it's a problem. Oh, we did fold and flop last week. So we are going to do. We're going to talk Rays first, because we're kind of talking Cayde and Taniks, since Taniks has some prominence as the boss of the Deepstone Crypt. In case you can't tell, I'm not the best storyteller. I can be. Boy, howdy, I can rip a yarn. Don't believe me? Ask Cece. Don't believe him? Ask the Colonel. Those two have heard things you wouldn't believe. Just what I'm doing here, the whole based on a true story thing, I could feel myself trying to talk around what I want to say. Fill it with the old poop and circumstance. I'm trying, though, fighting my better angels to get what I need to say. And what I need to say starts with Andal. Andal and the dare. My dare. Our dare. The hunter's dare. It's a stupid thing, but it's an honor thing. And it cost me my friend. I cost me my friend. But before the dare, we had Taniks. Hell, after the dare, we had Taniks. After my dare, we had Taniks. It always comes back to Taniks, doesn't it? For the uninitiated, Taniks is a fallen mercenary with no house but the house that pays him. Most fallen won't deal with him, but when a captain or an archon or a Kel needs something done and their crews aren't cutting it, or when they want a job done real hush-hush, they call Taniks. Back in the day, me, Shiro, Andal, and a few others got on radars. We'd rather stay off. The fallen houses put out bounties. A lot of glimmer on our heads. A lot of ether. Tannix took the gig. Only we didn't know. There'd been stories of a renegade fallen dropping bodies, but nothing ever concrete, so we just brushed them aside as more of the same. Nothing we couldn't handle, even on an off day. I mean, we were all aware the fallen were dangerous, big time threat each day, every day. But a solitary fallen boogeyman, free of house, cutting down guardians one by one? Yeah, right. Until Yeah, right was standing in front of us. First impression, he was a big boy. Bad attitude. Second, he was standing over the body of Nian Ruo. Didn't know her well, but we'd done a few runs. That day was supposed to be an in and outer. But then, Tannix. Nian never got back up, and Shiro's boy Lush lost his ghost. Full on RTL, returned to light, gone and done. The whole scene was a blur. Lost our haul and hauled our butts out of there. Still not sure how we lost Tannix and his boys, just lucky that we did. Of course, ditching that troublemaker wasn't the end. Shiro and I got back, filled Andal in on what went down as soon as we found him. This was before his Vanguard days. He'd been running a second grab on a cache our west. Wasn't back till the next night. We told him about Nyan. Lush was freaking out about his ghost. Couldn't blame him. Still can't. Then we did the dumb thing. We got cocky. Turn. Tannix didn't announce himself. Didn't say a word. Just laughed a few times and tried like hell to kill us all. But we knew it was him. Stories matched a story, you know, which meant the boogeyman had a face. The boogeyman was real. We could hunt real. We could track real. We could end real. Andal said something like the hunter is about to become the hunted, and the hands of the hunters he'd hunted. I know, don't laugh. I didn't. He was a great guy, even if his humor was a bit forced. It seems like a nice way to put it, but he wasn't wrong. Lush wanted to join up. A little payback for his little light, but we nixed that. Loved the kid, but no ghost meant no way. Poor fella died his final death, RTL, less than a cycle later. Went on a run solo, didn't tell anyone, never came back. Shiro used to spin stories about him. He still does. Like he's still out there living a life we only dream of, traveling unknown roads, digging up untold enemies. My favorite's the one about the Rat King. How Lush joins up with a folk tale, and together they fight the wars we don't see. It's just fantasy, but I like it. It's the kind of bedtime story I used to tell Ace when he was fighting off sleep, when he was here. But he's not here. Neither is Lush, neither is Andal, and someday neither will I. Didn't have a Hunter Vanguard back then, what with Kuuko Swift River finally being declared dead after 2 years MIA and his dare nowhere to be found. Speaker said it was on the rest of us hunters to figure it out. That first night back, Andal and I were up late. Not a new thing. He drank, I drank. He got tanked, I'm a robot, and we made the pact. Dare issued and accepted. See, there was that opening on the Vanguard, Hunter slot. We both wanted Tannix. Only one would get the killing blow and the glory. The loser had to hang him up and lock themselves away in a tower. Leave the lonely roads to real dealers. We both laughed. Wow. I wish I could hear him laugh again. Just once. Funny how all the cool kids leave the party too soon. The last one we're going to read here, it's called All In. This one's a bit long, but I think it's pretty important to understand where Cayde's coming from here. And remember, he's writing all these in a journal that we find. We find these pages, letters from Cayde. Mm-hmm. They're letters to his son, really. They're letters to Ace. Hey, kid, I know I don't write you very often, you know, but it's better late than never. Ain't easy for me to find the words, I mean. It is to find them. But I know they're not always the right ones. Too much flash, too much looking out for how I'm looking. Not enough just telling it how it is. That's why I'm doing this, Ace. That's why you and me are having these words. Easier to say them than scrawl them. This way, now that I'm doing it, it feels more honest if I'm feels more true. Thing is, and I'm sorry it's like this, but I can only talk to you. In my mind. In my heart. That's how one-to-one works now. Father and son. Cayde and Ace. What am I doing? Reality is, ain't no telling who I'm talking to. Hell, could be me, could be the me after me. Hi, me, looking good. Sorry you can't remember all you can't remember. That's just an exo's lot in life. Though, if you are me sitting on the other side, I gotta tell you, I never wanted this. You never wanted this. I made it real clear to Big Z, Ikora, Banshee, Amanda, my pal Jimmy down at the ramen spot. that if anyone ever finds that deep stone crypt thingy, I stop counting at 6. No higher. You hear me? No higher. I think there's just something about the number 7 that gives me the heebie-jeebies. Unlucky, overrated. I don't know. Just a number with bad mojo in my book. So if you got 7 in tow or above, or someone's changed the game, someone's not playing nice, you might want to do something about that. If you haven't listened to the earlier files, the start of this ramble, find them, hear them. You might not want to take lessons from an unknown reflection, but trust me, whatever kind of man you are, you can be better. Also, these are journals. Don't call them a diary. A three-eyed gal with a preference for deep holes and nightmares always called them diaries. Don't take cues from her. Anyway, end of the day, new me. If that's you, you get to choose who and how you want to be. The hope is maybe I can guide you a bit like the me before me did. And when you get to the part about the kid and the girl, my ace and my queen, they're yours too, by right. Because they are all yours, a gift, and you'll be the better for it. And if you don't feel that thing, that soft spark in the middle of all that circuitry when you get to them, then if you are me, you aren't like me at all. And that means you're trouble. The good kind or the bad, impossible for me to know. All I can do is give you the tools to raise you right. That goes for you too, Ace, if you're listening. Hell, it goes for anyone. Strangers, old friends, new enemies. Learn from me. Be better than me. Because I'd really hate to think whoever you are is someone I wouldn't get along with. And that's going to do it for our Cayde letters. We may have a couple more next week, but that's it for right now. I think the Cayde that we're seeing in these letters is a very different Cayde than we ever get in the games.
Mm-hmm. It feels like his personality on in the game is kind of like a mask of how he's really feeling underneath. You know what I mean? And these letters are
pretty much says that to him too. Like, you basically insinuating, and Zavala knows it, and Ikora knows too. Cayde acts a certain way to keep the mood, to keep things light, to not keep things too heavy, and that's why it was kind of surprising. Like, they gave him so much characterization in the Taken King, but he needed to be that character in the Taken King alongside Eris's dead serious demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
We steal Eris's ship at Cayde's behest and use it as a suicide ram, essentially. Okay, cool. We did that. We plant the beachhead. We infiltrate the dreadnought for other Guardians to come in. And, he goes to his grave still joking about how he owes her a ship.
Mm-hmm.
This is who Cayde is at his core, though. Cayde's like the rest of us. He's scared. He's terrified. We're seeing his reflections here, and it's fitting that we only see them after death, because Cayde would hate for us to see this side of him.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the Guardian, to see this side of him. We get the impression he's probably let Ikora or Zavala see this side of him before, but nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Amanda, maybe Banshee, since they're both Exo. But you can tell it's not something he puts on display for the rest of the consensus, or for us, or the speaker. This is something that he very much, keeps to himself, and it's fitting that we're the ones who find these files, who listen to him talk during the Ace of Spades mission, that we are the inheritor of Ace. We're the inheritor of Cayde's legacy, and I think, especially, I play as an Exo, and it's weird, because, I try to get into character when I play, and, I think, my Exo would react a very certain way. Cayde's the closest thing they have to a comrade.
Mm-hmm.
Right, especially as a hunter Exo, it's damn, that last Cayde mission when you go and you hunt down the parts to repair the Ace of Spades, and you're listening to his diaries, his journals, excuse me, and
don't call them diaries.
Yeah, you're hearing these reflections. You're reading the lore book, the man who they called Cayde. I think you already respect the character a lot. Even if you don't play Destiny, you understand he is the most recognizable character in the series, besides Ghost. Mm-hmm. It's the Ghost in Cayde 6. That's who you think of. Maybe Crota at this point, because the raid became such a meme.
Right.
But those are the characters you think of. And I think it's fitting that his best character moments are completely done off screen in his own private thoughts. But this kind of circles back around to what we were talking about in regards to content. if you didn't go through and read all this, you would never know. Like it's a completely another character. It's a whole other side. It's beloved character in this franchise, and I think we're all better for it.
Yeah, you would never know.
No. So that's Lore Corner for this week.
It's a good one.
End on a bit of a somber note, but we'll plan to finish next week, provided that there's no preview lore, which I think there probably will be.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's not, then we'll read the final chapters of Cayde, and then I'll plan out our next series.
Awesome. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Tower Casuals. Josh, thank you for joining me this Thursday evening.
Always. This is the highlight of my week.
Yes, definitely is. The show is it means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to you, and I just, I appreciate your time every Thursday, and I appreciate your time, listener. I want to thank you for listening and or watching. You can catch the show every Thursday night live on twitch.tv/CoreyandHD. Moving forward, if you want to listen on podcast services, it will be available on Fridays, as well as a YouTube video archive of the Twitch stream. You can watch it on, starting this week, my personal YouTube channel. Josh, where can we find you?
You can find me, of course, like Corey said, every single week on Tower Casuals. And you guys can find me on Twitter and Twitch as @Josh_Finn, 2 N's. We like to play Destiny. We like to play shooters. We like to play RPGs. Playing a lot of fun stuff right now, kind of rotating between Hitman and Superhot.
Nice. How's Hitman, by the way?
So I haven't gotten Hitman 3 yet. I've been playing through the packs from 1 and 2. Because I had the packs from 1 from Games with Gold like 2 years ago, and I bought the ones for Hitman. Hitman 2 was on sale at Target for like $20 digitally. So I picked that up. I really enjoy it. I don't like stealth games a lot, but this is unique enough, and there's no bullshit boss battles, that I really enjoy this. And the fact that there's so much replayability. I mean, there's so many different mission stories you can do. That I feel the need to replay most of the levels. So I've played through some of them like 4 or 5 times and still haven't done everything I want to do. But there's just so many creative assassinations rather than just like shooting them or stabbing them. It's like, I dropped a lighting rig on a guy the other night. And I impersonated a male model to get the other kill in the same level, and then stole their helicopter. So I did all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, I popped in a little bit the other night while I was working on some assets for stuff, and it looks like a lot of fun. Every time I watch somebody play it, it just looks like a lot of fun. So.
I like it, but knowing that these aren't like specifically my jam, I'm going to wait for Hitman 3 to go on sale before I grab it and keep diving in.
Yeah, well, that's probably smart.
Yeah, it is a really good series. So like these games really did get slept on for the last couple of years. I feel like now everyone's like, oh my god, like these are really good. Like this makes me so stoked for their James Bond game.
Oh, I know. I
can't wait for that. They're the perfect studio.
Yeah, I cannot wait. So, you can find me on Twitter at IamCoreyandHD. You can find me on Twitch at CoreyandHD. Like I said, I'm relaunching my personal YouTube channel. If you want to head over there. It'll be in the show notes. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm very excited about the future of this show in particular. Josh, I'm excited for your future, my future. It's exciting. Exciting times, Josh. Exciting times.
Very exciting.
And until next week, Guardians, we love you. Goodbye.